What's up, my fellow YouTubers? So today I figured I'd talk about how to get your book published on Amazon, or at least how I did it. And it wasn't the easiest way, and it wasn't the best way, but it was, I think, one of the most professional ways. It's the only thing that sucks is I've been writing since I was a little kid. Even before I really got into Stephen King, I got into I think Rick Cartella, and actually he was known as Stephen King Jr. I didn't know that until recently, and for good reason. He's from Maine, and a lot of his books were creepy as fuck. I mean, I thought like at the time like he was actually better than Stephen King. Before I really get into like It or Misery, or all I saw was Christine. But then when I read Nightstone by Rick Cartel, I was like, whoa, look at this dude. I mean, this is awesome. I thought it was Stephen King for a while. Scared the hell out of me like when I was a kid, and I was about 12 when I got into him. And then I got into It, and I saw the cool thing about It was like the layers, which I don't think the movie captures. I mean, not just the movie, but the series, whether it be 1990 or the 2017 one. It doesn't capture what the book does as far as layers go. Now, what the layers mean is that it'll have a news article from the paper, like a real paper, and it'll say that somebody went missing. Now, you could read the same thing in your paper, right? Some so and so went missing. And chances are, if it's in the real world, they went missing because either somebody abducted them, or, somebody, serial killer out there, whatever, you know what I mean? But it's the book It, right? So they go missing, and then what they do is after the article, they go back in time to where the person was living right before they died, which I thought was the scariest fucking thing, because you know that they're going to die, but you don't know how. And it has so many forms. You don't know what's coming, but you know it's coming, and they don't know that it's coming, but you do as the reader. And I thought it was just a brilliant way of writing, and that inspired me to take my talent already and mold it and shape it into the layers. And what happened to me, like as a kid, I had this talent for the macabre. Yeah, I was Catholic, and I was raised Christian, and yeah, I consider myself a Christian. It's just that I had a talent for the macabre, which didn't favor me. I never got along with anybody. Like, I was always an introvert, always a loner, always the nerd that got picked on. So I never fit in with anybody. I never fit in with the popular people in high school, and I never fit in with the people in my Christian groups. And a lot of the reason is, oh, look at this guy. He writes horror stories. He must be a Satanist. He must be this. He must be that. And they didn't just later on, when I went from Catholic, I lived out with my father, and I was part of like a born again Christian youth group. They like basically put a gun to my head and said, if that ever becomes a movie, you'll be guilty before God and eternal damnation and this and that. And it's like, you know what? As I got older, I realized a few things. A, those same people were never around for me. That they never were around to say, hey, how are you doing? They were right there to put a gun to my head, right there to tell me eternal damnation awaits if I chase my dreams, right? And then that's it. You don't hear from them again, ever again. Whereas writing, your talent or music, or the very things that they're trying to take away from you, are there for you every day to help you through problems, okay? Now, I'm not saying that prayer doesn't work. I believe it does. But the whole point is, somebody is going out of their way to take something from you. And then after that, see you later. But I want to make sure that while I'm away, that what I said stuck with you enough to put the fear of God in you, enough to not chase your dreams, or not, and keep tabs on you, and for me, I thought that was pretty selfish, and yet, okay, I still had the talent, and I still had this vision of an idea for a story where a serial killer gets trapped in this world, like kind of like a purgatory, and he's struggling, and you're thinking, well, how do you struggle in the afterlife, right? And then I thought, oh, struggling with the afterlife, it's catchy with me. But I want it to be original. I didn't want it to be heaven or hell. I want it to be my own world. And I had this vision, I still do, of like these like giant killer toilets in these stalls that breathe, and it sounds funny, and it is, but they're at the same time they're also menacing. They all have different personalities, like people in the real world, and you never know which one you're going to get if you're in a strange town. And it just stuck with me. And to this day, it's, I'll be 50 in February, and I guess I'm at the point now where I realize, oh my God, maybe I won't be the next Stephen King, but it's good to actually have my book out there, at least the idea of it. And I want to start writing again, but I think what happened is I'm into other things like photography, recording and uploading video games. Like other things kind of piqued my interest more than writing, although the ideas are still there, and I should maybe write again. And on to the next, one of the reasons why the roadblock is because I was under the impression, like when I first started writing, that what you do is you send your manuscript to somebody, and they like it, and they pay you for it, right? They pay you for it. So you get this huge lump sum because they liked your story. Now, I mean, and it happened to Stephen King. They bought Carrie. He was with, $400,000, and it propelled him to quit his job, and boom, boom, boom. I thought that's the way it worked, but I guess, I don't know, modern days, it doesn't work that way. It's just the opposite. You get a book, you get an idea, you format it, whatever, and you pay them. But you pay them. You're losing money on top of losing money. So I was bummed out when I heard about how it works. I was like, oh, I thought somebody saw my work and paid me, and I could quit my job and be a full-time writer. Instead, they're like, I looked around, and what I found, I mean, this is my first, hopefully not last, but this is my first experience with Book Baby, and they do it professionally. They want $1,600 for it, which is very pricey. I used my credit card, and at the time, and what happened, which really pissed me off, is that the original that I wrote, it was 330 pages. It was a pretty long book. I mean, long enough to enjoy it. And by the time it got formatted, it was 130 pages. Now, who the hell wants to pick up a book with only 130 pages in it? You know what I mean? And if I had known now what I know then, I probably would have added some short stories to it, enough to make it bigger, so it's at least 200 something, 300 something. But I didn't know at the time. It says 330 on my format. When they format it, 130. And I was just bummed out, and I'm still bummed out. But at the same time, it's like, hey, it's out there. If somebody, maybe the right person, sees it and likes it, maybe I could just quit my full-time job and become a full-time writer, whatever. And I think the thing of it is, like, when you're like a horror writer, I don't know about anybody else, but maybe you do have that spiritual dilemma where you have this talent that you're really good at, and you have this vision of how the story should be, and somebody else comes along and either tries to take that away from you or change the story before it can get published, right? Let me read your story. Oh, I don't like this, and I don't like that, and I don't like this. And then after either one or two things happen, after I change it, where it's not even your story, it's something to my liking, or I wasn't able to change it because you didn't listen to me and you kept on writing what you were going to writing anyways. Either way, you don't hear from me again, and we don't talk again. To me, I've met so many people like that in my life. It's like, for me, so selfish and assholeish, you know what I mean? It's like, at least if we were friends and we were talking all the time, fine, I could understand, or give me your criticism, input, but don't come along and either try to take something away from me or put a gun to my head and say this or else, and then see you later. And after a while, you get that vibe, like it's going to happen anyways, no matter what. People are going to judge you anyways, no matter what, you know what I mean? And as far as like being guilty before God, I think only God can judge that, not some holier than thou asshole, because my stories aren't evil. It's about good versus evil. It's about the serial killer that realizes what he's done is wrong, and his quest for absolution, like his quest to be good. And if it was all evil and blasphemous, absolutely, I could understand, but it's good versus evil. So, but my experience with Book Baby wasn't the best, and I'm sure other people have had it. One, it's pricey. Two, when they formatted it, it shrunk it. And three, the biggest thing about Book Baby is if you put money into advertising, like say you put $100 into it, you won't know until 3 months later if that $100 paid out, which makes advertising kind of frustrating. And on top of that, on Facebook, if you value frustration, you'll get these fake ass people saying, I can help you advertise your book. And you look on their page and they're not very credible, especially if they bug you on a daily basis as soon as you're on. Hey, how's it going? And I remember being in journalism and have my journalism teacher actually say, I need somebody to take me underneath their wing. And I was going to go to college for journalism. I did really shitty on my SATs, and it discouraged me to the point where I ended up in a factory, and I still have the ideas in my head, but I have other things that I like to, like photography and, creating video game videos and editing and stuff like that, where it's kind of on the back burner. It's still there, but it's on the back burner. But the whole point is that I never found that person to take me underneath their wing and propel me to Stephen King status. But yeah, at the same time, I figured, hey, I can make these blogs and help other people out. This is how I did it anyways. I went through Book Baby, and it's not going to lie, it's not cheap, but that's the most professional way I did it. But question, is there an easier way that you've done it? They said I could publish on Amazon for free, but what Book Baby did was they gave me some cool ideas for the they made my cover artwork, and it was corny as fuck. The toilets and the furniture weren't like that. That looks like Pee-wee's Playhouse on crack, The toilets in the story are vicious. They're huge, and they're made of porcelain, but they're alive, and it's like, whoa, creepy. And when you're trying to explain that to them, it didn't come out exactly the way I wanted it to, but at least it looks professional enough to be like, wow, that's pretty cool. So yeah, I hope this helps, and this is my experience, and I'd like to hear about yours. All right, peace out, my fellow YouTubers.